fighters officially.
This fight is 4 3-minute rounds in the 118-pound division and is brought to you by Mavin Media Group, Dakata's official production provider. Visit them at mavin-mediagroup.com. And now, the official fighter introductions. In the Shaganappi GM blue corner, she's 2-3 as a professional, 28 years old, and stands 5 feet 2 inches tall. She weighed in at 119 pounds, fighting out of Tuxtla, Mexico. Please welcome Estefania Fanny Orozco.
Thought she was going to punch Jay.
And her opponent in the Calgary Sun red corner. She's 1-0 as a professional, 21 years old, and stands 5 feet 4 inches tall. She weighed in at 118 pounds, fighting out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Please welcome Bree Bam Bam Howling. This fight is contested under professional rules. The referee in charge of the action is Mr. Andy Social.
Andy Social will be in charge once we're underway. Coming out of the blue corner and Mexico, Estefania Orozco is out of the blue corner. She's got white trunks with green and red trim. It's the white trunks with the purple trim for Bree Howling coming out of the red corner. This fight at 118 pounds, and we are underway.
Yeah, a bit lighter for Bree Howling than 122 for her first fight, but following her on social media, didn't seem like much trouble with the cut. See how it affects her in this bout. Former national Muay Thai champion. Pretty familiar with the bright lights. Sharp jab early on. Ooh.
Wow, good stinging
Stiff
jab.
jab.
You know, I like how Howling's staying in her stance. She's not moving her feet so much, very confident in her skills and her stance and her defense. You can tell she's prepared for this.
It's a little thing, but just that little slip, just outside the distance of that jab, kind of shows she's in a zone right now.
Straight right attempt coming from Orozco. It was kind of, it was parried more off of the body. It looked like it hit the chest and then was turned off so that she could counterpunch. And Bree Howling did land the punch right after.
Orozco reaching a little too far with those shots. I like to see her use her footwork to get inside before she throws those.
Yeah, you see the difference. You see the difference with Bree, who's really able to plant and commit on that, compared to what Orozco is doing with, as you mentioned, a bit of a reach, and she's having some trouble there. As a big right from Bree lands.
Howling has the ability both to be an aggressive fighter and to counter, and a lot of what she does in the first rounds in the two professional fights and her first professional fight, I should say, and the one we're seeing now, is that she's very patient, trying to gauge the game of her opponent to see whether she's going to adjust the way that she's going to react within the fight.
There's a lot of downloading of information going on right now.
I see Orozco's trying to sort of fake her to commit first so she can counter punch with that left and right hook there. Missed on those two. But she's trying to wait, trying to suck her Howling in so she can hit her with that left hook. You can see her right there setting up for planting that back foot.
Little snap jab there from Howling.
And the counter strategy worked there. A good left from Orozco.
Howling has a great slip and straight jab. Love to see her double that up.
Look at the speed at which both those punches are going out, and they're coming right back to her guard, so she doesn't leave herself open for very long. Yeah. Here does Bree Howling.
On that note, I would say Orozco could probably do a little bit of a better job doing that, bring her hands back closer to her guard, so she's not eating 2, 3, 4 punches before her hands get back.
There's a big right hand. They came from Orozco. Hit mostly glove, but it was thrown with some intent. Big swing and miss.
Howling in that excellent stance, in and out, right? In and out, very good, making her miss.
Excellent technical round from Howling. Like the jab a lot, like the movement, the defense, as you mentioned. Orozco does land a few big shots, though. That's going to keep this one close, but I would say Howling takes round one.
And Howling's so relaxed in the corner, so relaxed in her fight. I've never seen her, I guess she's always nonplussed. Just, you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I know that it seems like she's very laissez-faire, but it really has to show her calmness. And that, again, you mentioned downloading information. Such an important part for boxers to be able to determine what their opponent is giving them so that they can counter. And she does it better than many fighters with lots more experience.
That's being a professional fighter.
One round in the book. We heard from you, Peter. What do you think, Jason? Do you see that round the same way?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think the difference maker in this fight is Howling's jab. Man, she can dart in and out with that jab, something fierce.
We'll see if she's able to pick up the pace a little bit here in round two. Perhaps some of those big shots that came from Orozco are going to be something that she just has to be aware of.
Yeah, the difference is those shots from Orozco are coming really one at a time. We see her there put a couple together. We'd like to see more of that from her here in the second round. That's something that Howling did quite effectively in round one. But she's just walking through some of those. That was impressive.
Big punches being landed by both boxers.
Howling needs to not get excited here, much like Khabib, and just keep on that game. Keep that long jab going.
Yeah.
Yes, like that. Well done. Excellent double jab.
Yeah, you can see Orozco kind of wants to bring a little ugly to this fight, make it a bit more of a brawl. Howling, the technique is there, working the body very effectively here in the second round.
Well, and that is a Mexican style, is just trying to bring it. They're very good technical boxers, but the toughness is right off the chart. So they'll eat 4 or 5 punches to be able to land one good one back.
Yeah.
Mexican fighting spirit is unmatched.
Great right hand then from Howling, the best punch of the sequence.
Yeah. Excellent.
Howling's continuity is phenomenal. Just being able to move from one exchange to another. Mm-hmm. And I've done this. She counters with this, which moves me to this. Each step goes through, and there's no hesitation, no thinking. And her early movement is very good.
It all comes from fantastic foundations, her stance.
Yeah, there's a reason techniques are taught day one, right? Like the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason, and Bree has a lot of those. And that calmness that we talked about earlier is keeping her from getting into those brawls. She's being very composed, very smart about the game plan so far. Against Orozco, knocked out in her first fight, been all decisions since. And you can see it's not really a fuel conservation strategy. She's going in there to fight, so she's got a chin on her for sure.
Bree's jab is outstanding. Double that up, triple that up. For Orozco, for the defense of that jab, I feel like she moves her head too much. There's too much head movement. You only need to just slip outside that jab, not 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, you don't get bonus points for how far away you are from the jab,
stay a little bit tighter so you can counter a little cleaner.
Good snap there. Good jab landed by Howling.
It is a real effective jab, and you can see her starting to set things up off of it, and that's part of the growth of a fighter, where instead of just I'm going to throw this punch and then I'm going to throw another punch, as you mentioned, thinking a couple strikes ahead.
I think there's one thing we could point out is just the excellent work by both boxers to work themselves out of jams. I think Andy Socials only had to step in twice in the entire fight to be able to break the fighters up. They kind of worked themselves out of it, and that's a sign of some good style boxing. Even here, working their way out of that position.
Good right from Orozco. Looks like there's a bit of a knot forming under her right eye as that jab has been finding a home over and over again.
Let's break it down here. Assume you're playing paper, rock, scissors. You've got an opponent and they've got that quick jab and the cross. What is your counter to that?
I'm going to try to not slip so big, but instead of parrying and leaning back, I'm going to try to slip in and step inside that range so I can't get hit with that long 2 down the pipe. Especially as somebody of sort of her fight style, she needs to step inside and not stay on the outside where those straight punches do their best work.
Yeah, from range, that's where Howling wants to keep this fight, nice and long. Orozco a bit more active on the feet here to start.
A little bit of a different movement, trying to perhaps, you talked about the stance earlier, Jason, of Howling, perhaps trying to give her something a little bit unorthodox and see how Howling reacts. But what you mentioned when you talk about slipping a jab, it's the same thing when it comes to footwork. If you own the center of the ring and your opponent is moving wildly, it only takes you kind of a half step to put yourself in a good position to be able to be competitive. So if Orozco is going to do that, she needs to do it from a different position, because doing it from the outside is very difficult to be able to create that movement to knock Howling off of her game.
Right, as well as backing onto the back foot. You got to sit down in your stance, bend those knees when you punch, and when you're backing up onto your heels, you're not going to be able to do that.
Seeing a fewer of the combinations from Howling as this fight's gone along. It's been more one punch at a time instead of those combinations that were really working for her in the first couple rounds. And as I say that, she lands 3 in a row.
Stay on that jab. Howling needs to stay on that jab. She can throw something afterwards, but the jab's setting the whole thing up.
Good uppercut there. And a good return left coming from Orozco.
But as mentioned before, she was just throwing those to throw them. There isn't a whole lot of looking where they're going. She was actually looking over right around Jeremy's area and just flinging them. You'd like to see just that head staying a little more into it.
And not ruled a knockdown. It was just a slip on the canvas.
That jab staying consistent, though. That has been a tremendous weapon for Howling in this fight.
Oh, man.
Good left hook that lands.
Mustard on that left hook.
The importance of bringing that glove back quick.
Pump up, Howling needs to pump out that jab. Just keep putting it in her face. Orozco needs to work around that jab and keep doing what she's doing. As the rounds get on, maybe the legs start getting a little tired. It'll put some pressure on Howling. Excellent.
Good two-punch combination from Howling along the ropes. Again, her second professional fight. This one a little bit lighter, not seeing much of the effects of an added weight cut to this one.
Well, just based on her frame, 118 is probably around where she wants to go. She's going to add a little bit more mass as she grows and as she continues to train as a fighter. She'll add a little bit more, make it a bit of a more difficult cut, but 118 is kind of where she's going to have to live with her frame. 3 rounds in the books. The one thing I'll point out here is I'm going to look at the corner of Bree Howling, and honestly, she's so good as a corner. They are very consistent. She sits the same way every time. There's the same water sips in the same order. And when you get that repetition in there, it opens up the mind so that they know, as a boxer, as an athlete, they know exactly what's coming so that their mind is open up to the most amount of information. Best effective coaching. Good work in the corner of Howling.
Yeah, all around, just I would say the word of the fight for her is professional. You can see the approach. She's very calm, not getting caught up in a firefight.
Good right
Eats
hand.
a right.
Oh, that's 2 punches that landed.
Yeah.
It's the right hand. And again, when you're swinging wildly like this, yes, you're not going to hit very many of them. But if you can catch the right spot with enough force, it can be dangerous. And there's a big right hand as well that lands.
Especially if Howling starts deciding to stand still. Those punches are coming in heavy.
The movement has definitely subsided from Howling here in the 4th round. Maybe just a touch more hittable this round. Jab is still there, though. Very athletic family for Howling. Her boyfriend, the goalkeeper for Cavalry FC, so she's around competition, around athletics all the time.
That's a right hand.
That's a right hand by Howling.
What I'm saying is not a lot of mini eggs eaten in that house.
More for us.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Howling start pumping out the jab, the double jab to the double jab cross. Like let that be the game plan. It's been landing consistently like that. There you go. But keep on it. But there he is again. There's the jab from Howling. Keep on it. Just keep on it.
See, it's strange that we see that Orozco keeps complaining that she's getting hit on the back of the head, but I just don't see it.
I haven't seen that once.
The only reason that's happening is Orozco keeps turning her head way too much when the punches are coming in.
That exaggerated movement that you were talking about earlier, leaving her
Like
in
that right there.
a bit of a vulnerable position.
Howling back to it. Keep on the jab cross. That is what's going to win you this fight.
Kind
Nice.
of winning the fight for her.
Read that punch was coming, was able to duck under and land a good left.
Yeah, it was a really good slip followed by a left hook.
More of that wild throwing from Orozco. That one landed, looked like in kind of the chest area.
You know, it might not be a bad idea for Howling to start also faking the jab. Get some reaction before you throw the jab out as well as the cross. Let her react. Get her nervous.
This hand speed is just so deadly for Bree Howling. It's a good punch that lands square to the head.
That was a great example of what we're talking about. While Orozco was throwing one punch, Bree threw 3. That's just the difference in technique and the difference in the hand speed in this fight.
Orozco really likes to turn herself that direction off the jab to the right and duck her head down. She better watch a left hook coming in.
Bree read that and a nice left to the body. Starts a good combination from Howling.
Beautiful.
Like the few times she's worked the body, too. That seems to be a pretty effective method for her.
There it is again. Beautiful right to the body.
Last 10 seconds of this matchup. We're in round 4 of 4. A nice easy parry there by Bree Howling at the end of the round. And that is a phenomenal fight, pillar to post for Bree Howling.
Yeah, 10-9s across the board for Bree Howling for me. I think she sweeps that fight. Much like the first bout that we saw, a few things that she can work on for the next fight, but a good learning experience here, getting 4 professional rounds in there and putting on a pretty good show.
And here's your time to nitpick, Jason.
You know what?
No, I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm just saying that as a...
Wow.
She put on a phenomenal performance.
Yep.
So let's send it up into the ring now with Jaden Nance, who has the official scorecards for this bout.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a decision. Judge Glenn Dawson scores it 40-36. Judge Luke Boutin scores it 40-36. Judge Craig Metcalf scores it 40-36. All for the winner by unanimous decision. In the red corner, Bree Howling.
So the record improves to 2-0 for Bree Howling with a unanimous decision victory for her in her second bout. She now speaks with our Jeremy Valentine.
Bree, you got 2 fights in the books. You've done them both in front of a hometown crowd. What does it mean to have the support here for you?
It's super awesome. I'm super lucky to be here for my first 2 professional fights in boxing. Having my family around, all my friends, there's nothing like it.
You have excellent combat experience coming into boxing. With your background, what do you think transfers from one sport to the other?
I think the biggest thing is just the will to fight. I don't think it's anything technical that makes me stronger from coming from Muay Thai. I think I was hardened by Muay Thai and now I'm in boxing and I carried those same values, that same mindset into boxing.
You've got aspirations on a world stage. I know that there is no peak high enough for you. What is your ultimate goal? What do you want to achieve in boxing?
In boxing, I mean, no matter what I do, anything I take up, I always want to go to the top. I never want to do anything half-assed. So all the way to the top, I'm going to keep pushing. I mean, I only have 8 months of boxing experience, and I started right before I turned pro. So I have no amateur experience, no nothing. So everything's a challenge every single fight, and I just want to keep taking them, keep moving, go for as high as I can go.
Now, one last thing. I know you're probably your own worst critic and your biggest fan, but what was one thing that you wish you could have done better in that fight? It was pretty good. You swept the judges' scorecards, but what was one thing you wish you could have done better?
Honestly, I am my worst critic. I didn't feel very proud of what I just performed, but again, I'm new, and this is all just building bricks. These first couple fights, I just have to keep building up, and it's only going to get better from here, right?
Well, she's not proud of her performance, but I know our hometown fans is. Give her one more time. It's Bree Howling.